Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim, Kumar. The world of jazz is mourning the loss of one of its true originals. Michał Urbaniak, violinist, composer, innovator and global ambassador of Polish jazz, has died at the age of 82. From Warsaw's post-war jazz underground to the biggest stages in New York, Urbaniak helped redefine what Polish jazz could sound like and where it could go. Joining us is Paweł Brodowski, he's editor-in-chief of Jazz Forum, to reflect on Urbaniak's life, his music, and the personal memories behind a towering artistic legacy. Paweł, welcome to TVP World. Thanks for taking the time. So, clearly a huge loss to the world of music. How would you describe his life and his achievements and what has made him such an icon?
It was I'm sorry for my hoarse voice. I just came from a jazz club enjoying a Christmas party with a huge crowd.
I see.
A place called Stodoła. And this is exactly the place where I first heard Michał Urbaniak, 60 years ago, in a different location. And I remember clearly the pictures. He was playing the saxophone with great authority. He was a young man, but he's like 5 years older than me. I was very impressed. We were just amateurs playing rock and roll. Here comes a fully fledged, fully formed saxophone player with big tone and great assurance that the music, I was just saying, wow.
How much of this was natural and how much of it was training for him?
I think he was, in a way, a natural. He was a natural talent, a prodigy, but it took him hours of training. First of all, Michał Urbaniak was born in Warsaw, which not very few people know that he was born in Warsaw during World War II, 1943. Just a day before the outbreak of Warsaw Uprising, his mother, I think, and this young boy, he was maybe less than 2 years old. They just escaped from Warsaw, fortunately, and they eventually stayed in Łódź, in the industrial city, in most central part of town, Łódź. And this is where he had his upbringing, this is where he went to school, and this is where he found out about jazz.
Right. So you saw him at this club. He was playing saxophone, very authoritative, you said, full of power, and so on. But, what else was there? Because he was much more than just a saxophone player, wasn't he? He was multi-talented in the music world.
Yes, but let me just go back to Łódź. He went to a music school, and he was trained. He played violin. He learned violin, and he was prepared to be a classical virtuoso, which, in a little way, in his small way, maybe he would become a virtuoso. He was very talented. He would be almost winning national competitions. He was out there with the most talented. But one day, he was 13. The year was 1956. Willis Conover's famous radio show called Music USA Jazz Hour, from the Voice of America, and went on the air in 55, and all these young boys, would-be jazz musicians, were glued to the radio. They waited for this show, which came on every night at 9:15 for 3/4, for almost 1 hour. And this is where they learned about, this is where they first heard about jazz. there were no records in Poland at that time.
Right,
There were
right.
no jazz concert. It was a barren world. And people were very hungry. The forbidden fruit tastes best.
Sweeter, it certainly
So
does.
this
Yeah.
young boy, at 13, he heard Louis Armstrong. He said, wow. Louis Armstrong became his idol. And then a few years later, a friend lent him a record by Miles Davis. It was kind of blue. 1959, Michael was 14 years old, and he says, Miles Davis is
Right.
my great idol. I want to play like Miles Davis. He first played in a Dixieland band, then in a swing band, and then hard bop. Modern jazz became his fascination.
Right. But I must interrupt. I mean, fascinating story, but time is limited, and I'd like you to talk us through what happened after your first meeting so many years ago.
Okay, but I have to go back a little bit earlier. 1960, he came to Warsaw, and he started to play in a hard bop band called Jazz Rockers. And eventually he started to play with Andrzej Trzaskowski's quintet called the Records. The year is 1962, Michael is 19, and they are invited to America. They were the first the first European modern jazz group to play at Newport Festival. And he says, my God, first passport, first flight, airplane, first time America, he was completely shocked. And they played in Washington, they played Newport, they went coast to coast. They even went to San Francisco to hear Miles Davis play at Black Hawk Club in a club. So he was completely shocked, and he was fixed for the rest of his life.
Right. Well, he became a phenomenon, I suppose. I mean, having seen this and having been seen.
At such a young age. He was the youngest.
Right.
And then very soon he emigrated. He went to Scandinavia. He and his friends would play mostly in Sweden and Norway, and preparing for, he had this. He had his own master plan, America. He dreamed. His life was a fulfilling American dream, which is, he was so fixed that he made it happen. And in the beginning of 70s, he actually left for America, to New York, and he was so talented that his music. He was an original, an innovator. He played something called fusion jazz. Fusion means regular mainstream jazz combined with rock rhythms and ethnic elements from
How
other
did
countries.
he get to meet all the big names in jazz? Because he has played with all of them, hasn't he?
Eventually he played, but he went to New York to play with them. He knew their music, but his music was so original. Who were the bands, the greatest bands at that time in the world? Weather Report, Chick Corea Return to Forever, Mahavishnu Orchestra, maybe Larry Coryell, Billy Cobham, and Michał Urbaniak Fusion Band. He became one of them. He complained that he came to America maybe 1 year too late, because it was already happening. But he was riding on the crest of the wave.
Right.
He started to record for Columbia Records. He played all the greatest festivals.
How did you meet Miles Davis?
That's interesting. He met Miles Davis because he worked, he collaborated, he performed with the musicians from Miles Davis circle. He knew everyone around but Miles Davis. You couldn't approach Miles Davis just like that. Something had to happen. So one day, Miles Davis, by accident, by chance, had a show called a television show, Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. And he saw and heard Michał Urbaniak playing violin. And Miles Davis never played with a violin player. So there was Tommy Lipuma was a producer for Warner Brothers, and by chance Michael called Lipuma, and Tommy Lipuma from New York. Michael was in Los Angeles. He said, Miles Davis saw you on the Tonight Show. He wants you to come and play on his session. That's not real. That's absurd.
So the stars were aligned for him.
So he flew from Los Angeles back to New York just to play on one tune, one solo. The record eventually was 2-2, one of the greatest Miles Davis records.
Right, and this was, he was playing violin there?
Yeah.
OK. Now, you brought some wonderful mementos here. We've only got a minute or so left. Pavel, could you talk us through what you have here?
What?
These mementos that you brought with you.
We have Michał Urbaniak at Jazz Forum. Jazz Forum is now 60 years old. We had Michał Urbaniak on our covers ever since he came out from his 69. Then we followed, we interviewed him many times. We were fascinated.
So this is Jazz Forum. This is a magazine where you which you run.
Yeah, this is my interview, and what he says, saxophone is my lover, and violin is my wife, and I stay true to my wife. He became one of the world's greatest violin players. This year, in December, the great American magazine called Downbeat conducted a readers' poll. Many names, mostly American, and only one Polish name is in the poll. It's Michał Urbaniak, placing 12, playing violin. He hasn't played violin for several years, but still, America remembers him so much that they still talk about Michał Urbaniak. Michał Urbaniak is the most famous Polish jazz musician in the world in the history. Absolutely.
I noticed this the sleeve of an LP record. So this was. I mean, presumably the record is still around, and LPs are vinyl is coming back into fashion. How would someone get a hold of something like this, or the CDs? Or?
Well, this is original. I think maybe I bought it in a New York records store, or maybe I got it from him. I stayed with him in New York many years ago.
Okay.
But CDs, of course, CDs are available, and the music is out there on the internet, so you can enjoy. He recorded, I don't know, maybe 60 albums, and he recorded film music. He got awards for his film music. He even performed as an actor in a movie called A Bicycle, and he got an award as an actor.
Is it an English language movie or a Polish language movie, or the film? It was English language, Polish language.
I think it's Polish, but I think perhaps I don't know.
Okay.
But there are, and then he started with Dixieland bands. Then he played swing. Hard bop became his passion, but eventually he was an innovator of fusion jazz,
right,
and an innovator as a hip hop jazz.
Amazing.
So
unfortunately, we could sit here all night.
His career, he was changing. His career was like a travel into the unknown.
And sharing his talent in so many different ways. Pavel, thank you so much, for sharing all of this with our audience. And I'm sure we've earned Michał Urbaniak some new fans.
Yeah, and he died at 83.
82. That's right. Shame.
Unfortunate.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, though. Lots more coming up. Goodbye.